Hi, my name is Alec Houston. I'm here to discuss and reflect upon why critical literacy skills are so important to teach young children. Vivian Vasquez starts chapter 6 with giving readers a real conversation between students in her class. They began discussing Happy Meal toys at McDonald's and their purpose behind them. They also began to dig a little bit deeper, and they came up with really powerful questions. Not only were they really thought-provoking, but they also led students to explore deeper societal issues. Some may think that children exploring ideas behind McDonald's is going to be something that's not important, but with critical literacy, it's not just that one situation. They applied it to everything else in the world around them. They're applying it to the bigger picture, essentially. I did think it was very cool, though, that one of Miss Vasquez's students actually wrote a letter to McDonald's asking them to repackage their toys so they're safer for kids. But it got me wondering, I wonder if he had help, because I know from personal experience, like kindergartners and pre-kindergartners can't exactly write a letter of that depth. But I do think it's very cool that he came up with those new ideas and he was very descriptive about it. I just think it's really neat that he had that much parent support to help him at home write that letter also. I really love how Vivian Vasquez and her students did all the planning for their conference day together. She really makes the students feel like they have a voice in their classroom. And as I mentioned in my first video blog, I think that's so important, especially for critical literacy. You need to be able to accept their ideas and really process with them and make them feel like their voice matters, because otherwise their critical literacy skills are not going to be there. Something else that really stood out to me, especially as a kindergarten teacher, we're setting the foundation for these students to be productive members of our society and teaching them to ask questions, not only questions that they are wondering about, but questions about the world. That is so important for them to learn at such a young age, because they're going to be very critical, analytical learners, and they're going to be very critical about everything around them. And that's going to be so key for them when they get to be, in the adult force world. Towards the end of the book, Vivian starts asking the reader questions, which I thought was very cool because it really got me thinking. Her first question was, how might you use the stories of critical literacy learning in our classrooms to inform your teaching and to help you make significant the issues and questions that matter to your students? So I sat there and I thought for a minute and I came up with some ideas. I plan to really, really listen to my kids' interests. I'm going to raise provocative questions with them, even though they are in kindergarten. Vivian Vasquez proved that they're able to really answer and handle these provocative questions. I'm really going to start engaging more in casual conversations with my students. So like sitting down at lunch with them and recess and really just casually talking with them to kind of figure out their real interests. I keep saying this, but I think it's so important that every child feels like they have a voice in that classroom. Every question matters. Every question deserves to be listened to, and every question deserves to be answered. And then last, I plan on fostering learning in a way that students want to learn more about a specific topic. So what I mean by that is, if they want to learn about McDonald's and they want to figure stuff out about McDonald's, I'm going to say, okay, and we're going to dig into it. I think that, again, is going back to having their voice matter. So her next question was, what might your first steps for negotiating the critical issues and questions that matter to your students? So what I'm going to plan on doing is I'm going to record their critical issues, questions, and interests, just like she did. Write them down so you remember them, they remember them, you can revisit them. Another question she asked was, how might you create spaces for them to be able to reread and rewrite the world towards becoming the literate people they want and need to be in the new millennium? Great question. It's really key that teachers teaching critical literacy provide their students with resources to find the answers and allowing easy access to these resources. And one of the biggest things that someone can do when they first start teaching critical literacy is teach them how to conduct proper research on the internet. They need to be able to know how to find accurate information, up-to-date information, and you need to teach them those trustworthy websites and you need to show them the resources that they can use so that they can effectively produce and conduct their research. Thank you for listening to my video blog about critical literacy. I am now very excited to go back to my kindergarten classroom and try out some of these things that I've learned.